This isn't just some wishful thought. It's not a blind kind of hope. It's faith that's active. Faith in action. And faith in action can move mountains. You didn't find this message by coincidence. You didn't make it through all you've faced just to end up stuck or in lack. You've walked through tough, dry seasons, but God is about to release a wave of abundance over your life. You've cried silent tears that no one else noticed. You've fought battles in your mind and spirit that left you feeling worn out. You've prayed when it felt like heaven was far away or quiet. But hear this, those prayers weren't wasted. God heard them. He was paying attention, and now He's getting ready to do something big, something that will shake up your life in the most beautiful way. There comes a moment in life when everything seems unstable. Your income is unpredictable, bills keep coming, and you feel like you're just trying to survive. You may even be at the point where you wonder how much more you can take. But in times like this, when you're stuck in a financial corner, you have to remember something vital. God is your source, not the system. The system might fail, jobs can be lost, bank accounts can run low, but God never runs out of ways to provide, and He never will. The economy isn't your provider. Your job isn't your ultimate security. People you trusted might change, leave, or disappoint you, but God stays the same. When God is your source, you don't panic when the world's systems start to fall apart. You don't live in fear when markets drop or when others start to lose hope. Why? Because your provision doesn't come from the world, it comes from heaven, and heaven's supply never runs out. God can use any person, any door, any situation, even the ones that seem like dead ends, to bless you. He's not held back by your paycheck. He's not worried about your credit report. Inflation and recession don't scare Him. He owns everything, every resource, every idea, all the land, the gold, the silver. It all belongs to Him. And when God decides to release a financial miracle in your life, it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. That's why He sometimes allows us to walk through uncomfortable seasons, because it teaches us to rely on Him and not the world's systems. He's building your faith and helping you stop depending on man-made things. He's preparing your heart to see that real security only comes from Him. When you understand this, your perspective changes. That door that closed wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That loss wasn't to punish you, it was preparation. That delay, it wasn't denial, it was development. God is shaking up your system so you can recognize your true source. Sometimes we don't even realize we've started trusting the system more than God. We think, as long as I have this job, I'll be okay. Or, if I can just land this opportunity, I'll be fine. But because God loves you so much, He won't let you put your faith in things that won't last. He'll allow things to fall apart, not to hurt you, but to bring you back to the one foundation that never breaks. When you finally get it, when you truly believe that God is your source, everything shifts. You stop chasing and start trusting. You stop struggling and begin expecting. You don't live in survival mode anymore. Instead, you live in faith. Miracles often begin with a change in how you see things. What if this season of lack is just a setup for a blessing that only God could create? What if He's allowing the system to collapse around you so you can finally see that He's been holding you up the whole time? When you stop looking at the system and fix your eyes on God, your life changes. You walk with confidence, peace, and praise. You start declaring that you're provided for, even when you can't see how. You speak blessings over your life even when things look empty. And that kind of faith touches God's heart. God isn't scrambling to figure out how to help you. He already has the plan. He's just waiting for you to stop leaning on the system and start trusting fully in Him. And the moment you do, you'll realize something powerful. He was never late. He was just arranging everything perfectly. So when your breakthrough comes, you'll know without a doubt who made it happen, and you'll give Him all the glory. There's a deep truth that often gets drowned out in the noise of waiting, in the silence between praying and receiving. That truth is this: delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Just because you haven't seen the financial shift, the breakthrough, or the miracle doesn't mean God said no. What we see as delay, God often sees as preparation. What we call waiting, He calls working. You might feel like your prayers have gone unanswered, or like God has overlooked your faith, but heaven is always active, even when earth seems still. God doesn't forget His promises. He doesn't lose track of your name. He's not ignoring your needs. There's a process behind every promise, and many times that process includes patience. Not to harm you, but to shape something strong inside of you. Something that can carry the blessing when it arrives. Sometimes blessings are held back because your foundation isn't quite ready. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. What looks like a step backward might actually be a step into God's greater plan. He's lining up the right people, perfect timing, open doors, and even clearing out the wrong influences from your path. So when the moment comes, no one and nothing will be able to stop what He's doing. In the delay, your faith is being tested and strengthened. Your character is being refined. Your vision is getting clearer. And when the miracle finally shows up, you'll be ready. You'll carry it with wisdom, with thankfulness, and with a heart that knows exactly who brought you through it. Often, what feels like delay is really protection. God might be keeping you from stepping into something that would have caused more harm than good. Maybe that job you wanted so badly, or that business deal you were praying for, would have led to disappointment. And so, in His love, God delayed the blessing, not to punish you, but to protect your destiny. His not yet doesn't mean never, it means wait, because I love you too much to let you settle for less than my best. What you need to hold on to in these waiting seasons is faith, because faith is the currency of heaven. God doesn't respond to fear. He doesn't react to panic. He moves when He sees faith. Faith is what pleases Him. Faith moves mountains. Faith makes room for miracles. If you want to see God release provision in your life, you have to speak it before you see it. Walk like the answer is already yours. Declare abundance when your bank account says otherwise. Praise Him in the hallway before the door even opens. Faith doesn't wait until things make sense. It steps forward even when it feels uncertain. It believes even when nothing around you changes. It hopes when everything looks hopeless. And that's why faith is so powerful, because it taps into something beyond this world. It connects you to God's unlimited resources. It's not about how smart you are or your resume or how perfect things look on the outside. You can be struggling, overlooked, going through chaos, and still be rich in heaven's eyes, if you have faith. Faith sees past the natural and into the supernatural. It doesn't give up when things are hard. It doesn't shrink when things look impossible. It holds on and declares God is still working, and He's not done yet. Eyes of heaven recognize faith. It gives honor to those who don't give up easily. It brings favor to the ones who still believe, even when every voice around them says it's over. Faith invites God to move in your finances. It opens the way for the impossible. It changes the atmosphere. When you choose to walk by faith instead of by what you see, you attract God's movement. And no matter how long it takes, if you keep believing, keep trusting, and keep speaking life, the miracle will arrive. The delay will turn into destiny. The waiting will become a win. One day you'll look back and realize God didn't say no. He was simply making sure your blessing reached you at the right moment, in the right way, with your name already written on it. There is a shift that happens in your life when you start to realize that sudden miracles come to those who are faithful. It's not always the smartest, the most well-connected, or the most skilled people who see breakthroughs. It's the ones who stay faithful even when everything looks like it's falling apart. Staying faithful when things are dry is what catches God's eye. It's easy to worship and trust when everything is going well, but can you keep standing when doors are closing, when resources disappear, and when the world tells you there's no hope? That's where God watches. That's where He sees the faithful. And that's exactly where He starts to move. Suddenly, God doesn't need time the way we understand it. He can rewrite the story in an instant. He can open a door you never even imagined. He can take you from empty to overflow in a single moment. That's the beauty of a sudden miracle. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't follow normal rules. It doesn't always come with a warning. It shows up when your heart is ready, your faith is solid, and your trust hasn't wavered. Some of the biggest blessings in your life won't come with any notice. They'll come with a quiet word from God that simply says, now. But here's what you need to know. Sudden miracles aren't random. They grow out of seasons of commitment. When you stay strong in prayer, when you're generous, when you hold on to integrity and character, heaven pays attention. Heaven watches how you behave when you have little, because how you treat small things tells God how you'll handle the bigger things. If you can stay faithful with nothing in your hand, you're setting yourself up to receive everything God has prepared. There are times in life when everything feels silent, when it seems like you've been stuck in the same place for far too long. That's usually the time most people give up. But those who decide to keep going, who continue speaking faith, who remain obedient even when it's difficult, those are the ones God surprises with a sudden shift. The house gets approved, the debt disappears, the job offer arrives unexpectedly, the investment doubles, the phone call that changes everything comes without warning. That's the kind of thing God does for the faithful. Suddenly doesn't mean randomly. It means God's timing met your consistency. It means what you were praying for in private is now being answered in public. But you have to stay prepared. You need to keep living with an expectation in your heart, because if you're not expecting it, you might not recognize it when it shows up. Don't let the quiet moments fool you. God is working behind the curtain. Don't let the waiting make you bitter. Stay committed. Stay close to where faith is being spoken. Keep surrounding yourself with people who dream big. Keep showing up. Keep planting good seeds. Keep speaking His promises. Because the day will come when everything changes. And when it does, you'll understand why it took time. You'll see why the last door had to stay closed. You'll know why God said no to the thing you thought was perfect, because His plan was better, His miracle was greater, His timing was wiser, and His glory will shine brighter. A sudden miracle isn't just about money coming in. It's about showing the world that God is trustworthy, that He rewards those who keep seeking Him, and that He never forgets what He promised you. What you thought might take decades, God can do in a handful of days. What felt impossible for you, He can handle in a single night. When your words begin to match your faith, something powerful begins to happen in your life. Your words aren't just sounds, they're seeds. Every time you speak life, you're planting something in the spiritual world that begins to grow. And when those words are full of faith, they carry heavenly authority. You can't expect a harvest of goodness while talking constantly about failure or fear. What leaves your mouth shows what's in your heart, and God responds to those who speak in agreement with His promises. Too many people stop their own miracles by what they speak. They pray for God to provide, but then complain about what they lack. They ask for breakthrough, but then say things always go wrong. They hope for abundance, but fill their conversations with doubt and fear. That kind of double talk brings confusion, not just spiritually, but inside your own mind. Faith needs unity. Your words and your heart must speak the same language. That's why what you declare matters. It's not just about hoping, it's about boldly saying that good things are coming, even when nothing looks different yet. There's power in declaring God's truth over your finances, over your circumstances, and over your future. The more you speak what He says, the more your thinking changes, your mindset shifts. Your emotions start to rise, and the environment around you begins to respond. You're not speaking to show off. You're speaking to invite heaven into your world. When you say, "I am blessed," you're not bragging. You're speaking truth. When you say, "God is taking care of me," you're not pretending the struggle doesn't exist. You're reminding yourself who your provider is. When you say a financial breakthrough is coming, you're not being unrealistic. You're stepping into the authority God has already given you. The enemy would love to keep you quiet. He wants you drained, afraid, and silent. Because as long as you're speaking faith, you're a threat. As long as you're declaring promises, you're triggering spiritual movement. When you open your mouth and speak what God says, you're going to war. You're standing with heaven, and heaven always shows up for those who trust and speak in faith. There is no power in silence when your faith needs to be heard. There are no miracles in negative talk when your faith needs to rise. Even Jesus spoke directly to situations. He spoke to storms and they obeyed. He spoke to trees and they responded. He spoke to the dead and they came back to life. He showed us what it looks like to carry authority through our words, and you're called to do the same. You've been given the ability to shape the world around you, not just through what you do, but through what you say. Don't wait for everything to be perfect before you speak life. Speak as if it's already done. Call it complete. Call it restored. Call it finished. Speak financial breakthrough over your life. Not because your wallet says so, but because God promised to supply every need from His endless riches. So keep speaking, keep declaring, keep calling things into order, even when no one else gets it, even when it seems like nothing is happening. Because your words are powerful, and the moment your mouth lines up with your faith, things begin to shift in ways you never imagined. Heaven might move on your financial situation with just one declaration. Your breakthrough could be waiting on your voice, so don't stay quiet. Speak with courage. Speak life. Speak abundance. Speak with the confidence of someone who knows that God isn't only listening, He's already responding. There is real power in staying faithful, even when your current situation doesn't match what you're hoping for. Obedience isn't about comfort, it's about being committed. It's the choice to do what God asks, even when it doesn't make sense, even when there's no praise, even when there's no fast reward. And this kind of obedience is what makes you different. It's what causes heaven to act on your behalf. Because God doesn't see outcomes the way we do. He looks at the heart. He notices your faith in the quiet moments, in the hidden acts of trust, in the decisions you make when no one else sees but Him. Financial breakthroughs often come from steady obedience, not from just one moment of faithfulness. It's the daily decision that says, God, I trust you with this. It might look like tithing even when your budget says it's not possible. It might be giving to someone else even while you're believing for your own financial help. It might be handling the little that you have with care, choosing not to complain, not to panic, and instead being grateful for every small gift. These choices are acts of obedience that build the foundation for something supernatural. Obedience doesn't make God love you more. He already loves you completely. But obedience opens doors. It puts you in the right place at the right time. It places your life under God's order. And when you're in alignment, miracles begin to show up. You might not see the results instantly, but obedience is never useless. What seems like a small step here on earth might be causing a huge shift in heaven. What feels like a delay might actually be preparation for something so big your current life couldn't hold it yet. Sometimes obedience means letting go of unhealthy patterns, letting go of things that no longer match your purpose, letting go of people, habits, or places that pull you away from God's plan. And that's not always simple. It can feel like a loss, it can feel like heartbreak. But on the other side of letting go is freedom. On the other side of obedience is favor. And God will never ask you to give up something unless He's already prepared something better to take its place. Throughout the Bible, we see obedience leading to miracles. When the widow followed the prophet's words and gave her last bit of oil, it was multiplied. When Peter obeyed Jesus and threw out his net, he caught more fish than his boat could carry. When the Israelites walked around Jericho just like God said, the walls collapsed. Obedience can seem strange, it might feel awkward, but when it comes from faith, it always leads to something beyond natural results. Maybe your miracle doesn't need more effort. Maybe it just needs more obedience. You might be standing at a crossroads today. You've been asking God for a change, for a financial miracle, but He might be speaking something gentle to your heart, something small yet challenging. And your miracle might be connected to your answer. You don't need all the steps laid out, just a heart willing to say, yes, Lord. Yes to forgiving someone. Yes to giving when it's tough. Yes to showing up with excellence day after day. Yes to putting away fear and walking in faith. Every time you obey, it's like planting a seed. And when a seed is in God's hands, it turns into a harvest bigger than what you could dream of. Your obedience is getting things ready. Your obedience is opening up access. Your obedience is pulling heaven's power into your financial life. Don't overlook the impact of choosing what's right, especially when it's the difficult thing. Stay where God has placed you. Keep saying yes. Because the very miracle you're praying for could be hiding in the obedience you've been pushing aside. And when you finally choose full surrender, when you decide to follow God completely, that's when it happens. The sudden, unstoppable, undeniable financial miracle you've been waiting for. A delay isn't the same as a denial. That's one of the hardest truths to accept when you're in a season of waiting. Especially when you're crying out for financial help that hasn't come yet. The waiting season can feel like a dry place, silent, confusing, and full of tests for your faith. But this is often the place where God does His most important work. He's not just working on your blessing, He's working on you. He's shaping your character, your thinking, your ability to handle responsibility and your trust in Him, so that when the miracle comes, you'll be ready to handle it well. We often want the blessing to come quickly, but God wants the foundation to be strong enough to carry what He's about to give. You may think you're just waiting for a breakthrough, but God might be waiting for you to grow in wisdom, to learn how to manage well, to let go of bitterness, or to find peace even when your money situation doesn't make sense. The delay isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where God builds the strength and wisdom you'll need later. Look at how many people in the Bible waited before receiving their promise. Abraham waited years for a son. Joseph spent time in prison after being betrayed by his brothers. David was chosen to be king but had to hide for years before taking the throne. Even Jesus waited 30 years before starting his ministry. What all these examples show us is this: the delay didn't cancel the promise. It simply changed the person so they could carry it. The same goes for you. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Just because your account doesn't reflect your faith doesn't mean God forgot about you. Sometimes the delay is testing your words. Will you still speak faith even when things haven't changed? Will you still give, still pray, still show up, still trust? This is where your faith becomes real, not when you receive, but when you're waiting. It's easy to celebrate when the money comes in, when the job lands, when the bills are taken care of. But can you still praise when there's silence? Can you trust when the deadline is close and the miracle hasn't arrived? The waiting period shows whether your belief is based on feelings or on God's word. During delays, God is often shifting things behind the scenes. He might be clearing the path, opening doors you haven't seen yet, changing hearts, putting resources in place, or adjusting situations that haven't yet caught up to your faith. What feels like nothing happening is often part of His perfect plan. And many times the miracle you've asked for needs the exact right moment to make the biggest impact. If God sent it too early, it might be too much. If He sent it too late, it might miss the purpose. But when He sends it at the perfect time, it blesses you, helps others, and brings glory to Him. You need to know that just because you're in a waiting period doesn't mean the promise has been taken back. You are not overlooked. God has heard every single prayer. He's seen every tear. He knows every worry. His silence doesn't mean He's gone. His delay doesn't mean He's saying no. Keep trusting, keep giving, keep obeying, because when the time is right, when you've grown into the person you're meant to be, when everything is lined up, God will move fast. What took years to pray for can change in a single moment. Your financial miracle may be closer than it seems. And this delay, it might just be preparing you for something greater than what you even imagined. Stay in faith. The delay is a sign that something incredible is on its way.